Hello everyone. Well, a few days ago I promised that we would be doing some Alfredo sauce. So today that's what we're doing. I'm going to be canning some Alfredo sauce, and I'm going to show you what I do to keep it smooth. And I'm also going to show you some tricks that will keep this Alfredo sauce shelf stable. Now, first thing you're going to have to do is, with your heavy whipping cream, I've got my stove on kind of a medium low, I guess, and I've had it here for a little while just getting it warm, because you cannot let this boil. And I don't know if you can see that steam. You can see it kind of coming up there a little bit, but you just have to get it hot enough for it to start melting the other ingredients. Now, first thing I'm going to tell you is, if you've got a recipe for Alfredo sauce that calls for flour or cornstarch or something like that, that's a thickener, you cannot do that in your canning recipe. This is using dairy products, and if you start adding those thickeners to it, then you're going to ruin it. You can't, dairy products are a little bit different than canning vegetables. And so you're going to notice as I start fixing this recipe that everything in this recipe is a dairy product. So you're going to notice that I'm not putting any olive oil, which some recipes call for, and I'm not putting any flour in it. You know, if it's not thick enough for you after, when you get ready to use it, then you could make a roux and thicken it, when you get ready to use it. But today I'm going to show you how to do a safe, shelf-stable Alfredo sauce. And this recipe that I'm using will make about 10 pints. So I'm going to get started here, and you can see well, I don't know if you can see that or not. I've got about half of this stock pot, or this big pot, with heavy whipping cream in it. And the first thing I'm going to pour in it is my butter. Now, I did go ahead and start melting the butter a little bit, and so splattered it right in my face. Okay, so I hope y'all enjoyed all of the little shorts that I put on the page this past weekend of the snow. It was so beautiful. And set this over here, and then I'm going to start dropping some cream cheese in it. See, the butter is dairy, cream cheese is dairy. Let's get that in there, and I'm going to stir this around. Excuse me, something came up. But anyway, I'm going to stir this around until it has to be completely melted. All the butter, all the cheese has to be completely melted. And so that's going to take a little while, because I can't turn it up. We have to be careful not to let this boil. And so soon as it comes back, or soon as it gets smooth enough to add the rest of the ingredients, I'll bring you back and show you what we're doing. Okay, I'm back, and I think you can see here it's pretty smooth. Might be just a little bit of cream cheese that's not completely melted, but it's softened, and so that's enough for me to go ahead and add the shredded Parmesan. You can see here I've got a pretty good amount of shredded Parmesan. I'm not going to pour it all in at once. Just going to start getting it worked into it, and get it started melting. And then that melted fast, so that's going to go pretty good, I guess. And then we'll finish this up. And now, okay, I want to cook this for about 3 to 5 minutes once this is in here, because I want to make sure that all of the cheeses are melted and mixed together well. And it looks like it's coming along just fine for that. I see a big clump of cream cheese there that needs to be melted into it. But I can do that. I may even get a whisk and stir through it a little bit to make sure that all the cream cheese is mixed in well. I'm mashing it on against the side, and it's real soft. It's just not mixed in as much as I want it to be. But anyway, I'm going to cook this for a few more minutes, and then I'll stir in the seasonings. Now the seasonings I'm adding to this are going to be some garlic, and you can use fresh garlic or you can use garlic powder. And this one I'm using garlic in the garlic powder or some granulated garlic, and I'm going to cook it long enough for that to mix through it real well. I'm going to be adding some Italian seasoning and some salt and pepper, and make sure that's all mixed in there well. And oh, and then I'm also going to add just a little bit, a very little bit, just a pinch of some nutmeg. Things like this, I like a little bit of nutmeg in it. So now you can see this is not, it's not thick. It's not thick now at all. But the canning process is going to thicken it up a little bit. And like I said earlier, if it's not thick enough for you when you open the jar, then make a roux and pour this in it, and that will thicken it so that you can use it. But Alfredo sauce is something I'm probably going to do more than one run of this, because between, you know, just having some noodles with Alfredo sauce on them occasionally, or some chicken Alfredo. I like it with broccoli, and so we'll use quite a few jars of it, and I try to do enough to last at least a year whenever I put something on the shelf. So this won't be my last run of this, I'm sure, over the next little while. And it's beginning to really get creamy in there. So I'm going to go ahead. I've got my seasonings here in this bowl. I'll sprinkle it around in there and then get that mixed in good. And then all I'm going to do is spoon this into my jars. And now this is going to can just like, and I don't know if I don't have this video on YouTube yet when I canned milk. But canning, when you're canning dairy products, when you're canning milk, and with, like this one has, it's all dairy products with the exception of the seasonings. You put it in the pressure canner, and you bring it up to pressure, and as soon, you know, make sure first you vent your canner. Always vent your canner, and then bring it up to pressure. And as soon as it gets up to pressure, turn it off. And you can do that with milk and any kind of dairy. Well, most kinds of dairy, I'll put it like that. I was watching another YouTube channel, and I don't remember now who it was. I'll have to look and see. That somebody had canned some buttermilk. Now, I haven't canned buttermilk before, but I told her that I was going to try some buttermilk, and I do know that if I do buttermilk, it's going to separate. And so, yeah, this is thickening up just a little bit now. But anyway, I'm going to try some buttermilk at some point, and I'm going to leave it on the shelf for a little while and see how it does after it's been on the shelf for a little while. I'll probably just do one jar when I'm doing something like this, so that it'll all be the same kind of process. And you can see this looks good. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I'll move my camera over here just a little bit and you can see what I've got there. But yeah, it looks good. and it's smooth. Got a little clump of spices right there, but it'll all blend in. And so I'm going to get this in the jars. Let me turn that light out and get the glare off of it. I'm going to get this in the jars, and one thing I wanted to tell you about this before I end it, use fresh grated Parmesan cheese for this recipe. Now, if you were just making, this for an immediate meal, then you could use the bottled stuff that's on the shelf in the grocery store. But if you use that in this recipe, it's going to make it taste grainy, like it's got sand in it. So use fresh ingredients, fresh Parmesan cheese, fresh grated Parmesan cheese, so that you don't get that grainy texture. You'll get this really creamy, smooth Alfredo sauce. And so I'm gonna go ahead and end it right here. But I want to say I would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. If you've not already subscribed to my channel, I am going to be canning chicken in a few days. I've got some already thawed, probably in the next 24 hours or so. I'm going to be doing chicken, and show you my process for doing chicken. That also gives me some chicken broth at the same time, and but I'd appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel and also share it with your friends. I do have a page on Facebook that is called Back to Basics Living and Preparedness, I think is what it says on there. But anyway, go there and watch that page too. I usually give some kind of a heads up whenever I'm going to be doing a project there, so you would get a notification there as well. Sometimes YouTube don't give us the notifications like I guess like they're supposed to. And make sure that you've got some things that are shelf stable. I've said this before, being here in East Tennessee after the hurricane came in, and so many people that, even if the ones that didn't lose their homes, I mean, there's a lot of them. I know one county told me they were trying to build over 300 tiny homes, and but even the ones that did not lose their homes, some of them got flooded, but then they lost electricity, and they did not have, some of them had it, but they couldn't use the water from the tap for 2 weeks or longer. And so make sure you've got some water and backup power. Get you some solar generators, or go get you a gas-powered generator, so that if something like that were to happen where you live, then you would still be able to handle everything. You'd be able to cook. I mean, with a solar generator or a gas-powered generator, you could plug in a hot plate and warm up a jar of whatever from your shelf. So anyways, just a little encouragement to be prepared, because we don't know from one day to the next what kind of weather we're going to have. And I mean, they're telling us right now that we're going to have some of the coldest weather that we've seen in many years coming up this coming week. And so be prepared. And until next time, God bless you all.